Do I ring the bell again?
Yes.
Hey, good morning again. So, as you can see by the head table here, Einer is not the featured speaker today.
Man.
What he was gonna do today. I have to apologize. Last week I announced that we were going to have the guys from Lynch, Mark Green and Patrick Lynch, as our speakers today. But immediately after after the meeting last week, Mark texted me and said that Patrick had a scheduling conflict for today. They still want to speak. They still want to come. So the good news is that I have a speaker for somebody. Mark Green, again, is the general manager for the Lynch dealerships here in town. And then Patrick Lynch is from the Lynch family. So they would like to come, but they just could not come today. So as we take a look at the schedule for the next few weeks, next month or so, that is a possibility. My backup plan also fell through. So I have a speaker for someone else as well, another speaker for someone else, and that's Dr. Robert Green. Dr. Green is the headmaster for the new academy at St. James. So for many of you who've been here for a while, St. James had a school for a number of years. It closed about 12 years or so ago, and they are starting an academy. And I don't know a lot about the academy approach. It's something different. It's something new. And so I thought that would be an interesting person to have come in and talk to us about what's going on there with that new school. So
You're building the bench.
I am building a bench.
Yeah. The bench.
So, and I wanted to have a little more conversation about speakers here in a few minutes. After we go through some other business items. We have, and I'm gonna need a little help here because I'm not familiar with the recognition, the donor recognition or the recognition for Rotary as well as I should be as the president. But we have two Paul Harris pin recipients today. So two of our Rotarians have been recognized for, and help me out, for these pins. Is it donations to the Rotary Foundation?
Yes,
Okay.
in $1,000 increments.
And
Rick will
one.
tell you.
He's
Okay.
got a couple.
Rick, you have a few.
In $1,000 increments, and then you
It
get.
would be helpful to me to learn more, and I apologize for not knowing it better, but donations to the Rotary Foundation, the foundation.
It'll be used two ways. One, it is the donations in money that go to the foundation. And you can dedicate that to like our general fund where half that money comes back to us to use in grants. Or you can do it for polio, or you can designate it to go for specific other types of projects. We also we get points for that, and both the club can accumulate points and an individual can accumulate. So if you have someone, or we have someone that we want to recognize that has gone over and above for community service, we feel emulates all the things that are on that banner, we can recognize them and award them Paul Harris, that they're going to really know that. But to us, that's one of our foundations that we started back in the 20s. And you can take 1,000 points, whatever. We have a fair amount within our club, and donate 1,000, you get 1,000 points to yourself. So I use some for my wife, because she's assisted me on a lot of different things. But it is a way for us as an organization to recognize key people besides giving them a little plaque. But it's a nicer thing. And if you make it a commitment to like that I have to, is that it helps fund Rotary, because Rotary basically spends 97 to 95% of the money. It does not go to somebody's pocket.
To administrative,
Right, Charity Navigator ranks it and has consistently so high compared to our peer groups worldwide. So I am confident that the money I put towards Rotary not only comes back to us to help us do grants, but it makes definite change, and it isn't squandered.
Yeah.
And they do a darn good job.
And it's nice that you're right under the Paul Harris
Oh,
frame while you're talking, but it's been $1,000 for a long time, right?
It has.
I mean, $1,000 obviously is worth less today than it was back when, probably when it was 30 years ago, yeah,
Right.
so.
So the board of directors they've gone back and forth about freeze. And we haven't, only because we want people to continue to use this as the vehicle for change. Because that's what it is. Not only if people give to their own clubs or churches and things like that, it's really a good thing. So, and then you could, each year, if you do it consistently, you can get a pin with a little thing. The pin isn't complaints to me. It's really your personal commitment to what Rotary does,
Yeah.
just like with your
Well,
church.
It can be $25 a quarter, and after 10 years, you would get a Paul Harris. yeah.
You're right.
And Paul Harris, of course, was the founder, the Rotary
Oh, yeah.
founder.
Oh, yeah.
He's founded the first club in Chicago,
That's correct.
but he was born in Racine. Is he
Yes.
from Racine?
Yeah, he was
Okay,
born in Racine.
okay.
And then, believe it or not, there were clubs formed over in Europe and Asia within 10 years, right after that was done in Chicago.
Yeah.
So it took off
And-
like wildfire throughout.
And there was no
it's easy to-
Facebook.
No Facebook or whatever. You wonder how they could communicate
I
back
know.
then.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
it's-
sort of thing. I know not everybody it's not late or whatever, but when you see the projects that they do around the world, and in fact, that it allows us to double our months to do things.
It's interesting. I don't think we'll have time, but I actually have a 6-minute play of the first Rotary meeting
Oh.
queued up if we get to that point,
That's
but
cool.
we might have enough business items to spare you that.
Well, thank you, Rick.
Yep.
So back to the pins.
All right.
So I have two pins. One is with two blue stones and one is with a red stone. So,
The redstone is 5.
okay, the red stone is 5. So we want to congratulate
6,
Jim.
excuse me, it's 6,
6.
right? Each blue one is 1,000. Then it starts, the sequence goes to red. So this, when the first red one is on, that should be the 6,000.
Okay, so
Okay.
Jim, Paul Harris Foundation pin with a red stone. Congratulations. I believe there's supposed to be a certificate, but I did not get a certificate. I read online on the website that there's supposed to be a certificate.
And I have to say that I'm taking advantage of my company's match as well, so that goes, of course, to the Rotary Foundation, goes to our club credit, so might as well take advantage of it, so.
And then Tom Hurlison. So, pin with two blue stones, 2 of them?
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
All right.
John, last year, we had given out some of those points that Rick was talking.
Mhm.
And I think that's how Tom had approached me last week, asking me about that. And I think that we had given out points to some and not getting to the point where they would get a,
You brought him up to the Paul Harris level, yes.
right, but they were higher up within their.
Yeah.
Their $1,000, whatever, so they now approached it by themselves, taking it from where we had them, gotten them to where the, that's been one of them.
And just put things in perspective, typically as a club, obviously the goal could be much higher, but we've had like 2,500 to 3,000, and there's a certain amount that we as a club need to give the Rotary Foundation to be eligible for a district grant.
I see.
So,
Yeah, Mark.
Just as long as we're on the subject, so, we over the last umpteen number of years, when people through their Paul Harris Rotary Fund donations have gotten close to that $1,000. We as a club have, as a board of directors, have looked at the points that we've had at the club, and then given those to those people that are close to boost them up to Paul Harris. I think it'd be nice if, as a club, we would make a formal commitment. I know some clubs will, for example, if a member has donated 3/4, if the 3/4 of the way to a Paul Harris pin, $750, the club then will donate the next 250 to get them up to Paul Harris, so.
Yeah.
We should probably look at that as an incentive to get more people, you know, in the role of the donating.
Okay.
Right,
Because the points don't serve any other function.
No.
Right.
It's just,
Having 50,000 points.
Alright.
If the club would dissolve. Goes.
Okay. So in a larger club, the person that might be responsible for looking at that would be the foundation, or that's the president, or
A little bit of both.
a little bit of both?
Whoever
Okay.
is in that role of the foundation of that, to recommend, like Mark brought up. Or how to best allocate it to some of those things, or a guest speaker, we have come in this great job.
Well, speaking of roles, good segue into talking about the current positions that we have and what is vacant and what is open. And so if you can you see the screen okay? Nope. No, it's a little on there.
I don't know if I can make it bigger.
So we have a chart here that shows the
Last year,
office positions on the left-hand side and the committee chair positions and who was in those positions for 23-24 and then 24-25. And so obviously Peter was the president last year. I'm the president this year. Last year, I was the president-elect.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I'm sorry.
oh, go ahead. He's just saying he wants it bigger.
Oh, trying to get it bigger, okay. So we still are looking for a president-elect, so someone to take that president position for next year. That position is vacant. Secretary, Tom was the secretary last year and he graciously agreed to do it again for this year, so thank you, Tom. Treasurer, I know Jerry had been treasurer for a long time, and then Jim took it over last year, and now Jim has agreed to do it again this year. Mark, international service, last year and this year. And Rick, have you done that for a long time? Is that correct? Do I have that right? Yep. So, and then community service, another position, Greg, has been in that position for a long time and very kindly had agreed to do it for one more year. You know, but I told him that we would try to find someone to take his place this year to start that transition. Membership, Rachel did a great job with membership for the last couple of years, but she is unable to continue in that position this year. So I think that is a key post that we definitely want to have a conversation about. Who could we get into that membership position? I skipped foundation and I guess I'm not quite sure what the foundation person always does. Maybe someone can help us out. But is that someone that encourages people to donate to the foundation? Is that the main responsibility of that person?
Typically, and they have taken the lead in our district grant submissions and
Oh,
follow-up activities.
Okay, so that's that position.
Yes.
So, and Mark's sort of taking the lead. Mark and I have been working together on the grant. And so we'll continue to do that.
So Fred,
Right.
Schnook
Fred had been in that
had been
position.
doing that until he left the village and the club. And we had Doug Yeager before that and some others.
It's usually, that one is usually the second most important.
The foundation,
Yes.
okay.
Yes, the treasurer's report and secretary. But the foundation, because it's not only what RI does, but if we can do grant money or we're supporting other nonprofits, that's usually where most clubs forward that,
And
application and does it fit what our role, what our goals are?
but I believe in 25 of our 34-year history, we really didn't have a chair for
You're
that.
right, you're right. That was.
Yeah.
one of the things that we did.
Okay. So that's vacant and obviously important. So if someone is thinking about that, please let me know. Dustin continues to do the vocational service board position. Steph Bonesteel continues to do public image. And then we're looking for someone to do profound thoughts. So Tom, how long did you do profound?
He's had a few stints.
On and off forever, though.
Yeah.
We did it for way back.
So if anyone is interested in doing profound thoughts, that would be great. And Charlie continues to do the Rotary Minute. So thank you, Charlie. We appreciate it.
Now, a point about this, Rick was talking about important positions, in terms of the way Rotary looks at it, that they're asterisks by president, secretary, and treasurer. That's the minimum a club can have. I mean, the minimum number of board members a club can have, those three positions. The others are considered to be like committee chairs, but they also can be dual hatted as a board position. So going into this year, our board discussed at the last meeting that the public image, which has been a board position, has been converted to a committee chair. So the public image position is no longer a board position. Steph tends not to be able to make board meetings. So we now have 9 board members. Now, we could have 7 board members. Nothing that says the vocational service has to be a board member, but obviously decisions and discussions are made there, and the more people that have an input into decisions that the board is making and the club is making, the better. But those are the key positions. So public image is no longer a board position, but it's still in there. And Steph does a lot of things for our events and things like that. But in terms of Facebook, which if we have time, I can go over a few things. I work that angle as well. Okay. So we have we as a club have we've got a lot of great things going on. We can get talking, but we do have a bit of crisis of leadership right now. We have leadership positions open. We don't have leadership positions identified for the future. And we've, Rick and Mark and others have worked to identify future leaders. I'm the assistant district governor. I visited Burlington. They're a club of about 48 with about 15 new members in the last year or two, and they have a president-elect and a president nominee identified right now. So we're a little bit behind when it comes to that. Okay. And then you wanted to talk about just an effort by the district to simplify emails going out and going to the right people.
Yes. So our district governor, Peter Bosch, last week visited with us. And then this past week on Tuesday, we had a Zoom meeting with the various different club presidents. And he is attempting to try to limit the number of emails that people are getting. So evidently, there have been some concerns expressed that Rotary Club members are getting too many emails, and oftentimes the emails are not relevant to them. And so what they are trying, something new, is that they would like each club to identify a person in these 9 different areas to receive the emails that are related to those topics. So we would identify someone for membership, we would identify someone for fundraising, and those people would get the membership emails or the fundraising emails, and then decide if those emails were relevant to the entire club and pass those on if need be. But not everybody needs every email about membership. Not everybody, not each of us in the club need an email about club runner or club service. Oftentimes you do, but sometimes you don't. And so that's their attempt at the district level to try to limit the number of emails that we are all getting.
It's kind of in between everybody getting everything or the president just getting everything and deciding what needs to be forwarded to what person.
So I'll send you an email with this information again. And then if you are willing to be the person that would get those emails for any one of these topics. And so I'm sort of hoping that Mark, you would get the international service emails and then decide if that needs to be distributed, for example. So
And it's up to you. You can get a courtesy copy and everything, but it's up to you.
yes, that
Yeah.
would be great. I would appreciate that.
All right,
But,
so we'll fill those
That's
in.
the attempt to try to limit the emails. So I think it's a good idea. It's certainly worth a try. Any questions?
You want to go into some other things?
Yeah.
All right, how about kind of results of Saturday? Saturday went really well. Thanks to everybody that came out and volunteered. Kids from Wisconsin, was well received. Ticket sales were maybe a bit higher than expectations, which is good. This is a spreadsheet that Jerry has put together in the past and has maintained going forward. It gives you some idea. Just real quick, so Kids from Wisconsin 2024, because we obviously had Kids from Wisconsin last summer. But, you know, as far as tickets at the door, we had $9,900 worth of ticket sales on BookTix. We had about 550, I would say 530 ticket buyers, straight up ticket buyers, about 20 comp tickets for sponsors and such. Thankfully, we put out a tip jar near the cookies and the water. We ended up getting $150 of tips. So thankfully I remembered to get that morning. It got us an extra $150, help pay for the cookies. So, and then sponsorships, Dennis and Jerry did a great job of lining up sponsorships, including representatives from inside the room here. So Citizens and Lynch. Citizens also donated about $600 worth of inserts that went into the programs, which was great. Village Automotive all the way down to McGonigal Family Dentistry, the DBI Insurance, Review Dental. So thank you to the members in here who sponsored. So that certainly went through. So total revenue about 16,000. As far as expenses, the Kids from Wisconsin themselves was $5,300, up from 5,000. We fed them lunch and dinner. Cadoba was $817. Cousins was $400. So I got to be a great caterer, and then supplies that includes cups and plates and all that, $260. So we don't know what the district is going to charge us yet. We were charged $385. There was a custodian right there on site cleaning up after people and cleaning up the recycling and everything. So there's going to be a bill for that. But if it's somewhat similar to what we had before, about $400. We spent $134 on Facebook, and I will say that was an amazing bargain for what we got in terms of publicity and such. So total event spent about $7,300. So as it turns out right now, it looks like the fundraiser is about $8,600 when all is said and done. And altogether, since we started McGonigal's Got Talent, and these events came out of a strategic planning session several years ago, and said we need to do bigger, different fundraising activities, we've raised about $67,100 altogether from the various fundraisers over the last few years. Obviously, we had a gap in here because of COVID, and McGivern was pushed back, and then we've tried to maintain. And so an update on Rotary Presents. It's certainly something. You see the success we had. Even Piano Man, I mean, even the Magic Show, which had about 100 or 200 people in attendance. We had no sponsors. We raised about $1,800 in that. So it was a small, but still a positive event. So update on Rotary Presents. The next will be John McGivern returns. Possible date November 2nd. That's what we have right now. I heard back from I emailed him. He forwarded it on to his booking person who didn't see my first email. Says John is happy to perform in McGonigal again. He's interested and willing to do that. His performance fee is $7,500, which he said is what was told was a nonprofit rate. 5 years ago or 6 years ago, he quoted us $6,000. So, and trust me, John McGivern with his draw and what we can charge for a ticket, it's a bargain at $7,500 when you consider Charlie Barron's is $30,000 to $40,000. We need to find a date that works for John and our Performing Arts Center. The net fundraising from the 2022 show was $24,400, despite refunding a few hundred tickets and buying and tickets coming back. But we had about $10,000 in sponsorships. Just a quick overview of what the next show could look like. If John McGivern, $7,500, intermission, cookies and water, $500, promotion on Facebook, $200. It's not a lot to, it's not as much as complicated as Kids from Wisconsin. So we have $8,400 in costs. If we charge $35 a ticket, if we sell 550 tickets, that's $19,250 without sponsors. Last time we had VIP tickets, which offered a meet and greet with John after the show, which we charged $50 for. If we did that again, then the break even is 240 tickets sold. I think there's zero chance we're gonna sell less than 240 tickets for John McGivern. At 700 tickets, which we had sold 780 before the pandemic hit, with no sponsors, it'd be a $16,000 fundraiser. And if we sold out and did the VIP tickets, it could be a $22,000 fundraiser. So that's, we just gotta decide on the date. He has shows in early December in Oak Creek, a Winter Wonderland or something. Whether November 2nd is too early for him to do the same show, I don't know. But thankfully, he's still performing and he's interested and willing to come to Milwaukee. So that's looking at booking that. Others, a spring show, March or April, open to ideas. Love to get Charlie Barron's, but I don't know if that's likely. He might have outgrown a venue like our Performing Arts Center. Summer, unless somebody tells me differently, I see no reason not to bring kids from Wisconsin back. We already have a solid group of people I can email and say, hey, they're coming back, and hopefully a good number of them would come back, and we get 600 people, 650. We wouldn't necessarily have to hit sponsors as hard as we did this last time, and we'd still probably come out ahead and then fall. So it's possible we could do a spring or early spring show, summer show, Kids from Wisconsin, and then a fall show, and continue the fundraising going. And it certainly beats parking cars. Okay, any questions on that?
You need to build a bigger Performing Arts Center?
No, no, I think, but the old one, we would have sold it out like 3 weeks before Kids from Wisconsin. So yeah, having 840 rather than 390 seats is a good thing. I had one more thing. Oh, so as assistant district governor, I get some emails, and I found this interesting. If I can find it, where is it? Hold on, sorry. As far as our club, and comparing us to other clubs, I don't know where let me bring it up here. This is small. Oh, I can zoom it in. So the district put this out, and then Rick, I don't know if you've seen this before, but in terms of the club, come on, what's going on? Yeah, I did. So in terms of age, we are one of the younger clubs in the district.
Really?
Yes. So you can see Sheboygan is the youngest, and I don't know how they do it. They put 2 toward young, middle-aged, and older. Burlington is the 3rd youngest, and we are about the 7th or 8th youngest compared to all the other clubs. Whitnall Park is the oldest. So I think our corporate memberships certainly lend toward that. I mean, we've got, Jenna and Rachel and Cassie and such on our books, as well as Logan and such. So yeah, that lends it. And a lot of us are still just in our 50s, right? And compared to some of us, and we got 2 young people from Brook Life and such. So
the Sheboygan Club, I learned that club, that's the one that meets at Three Sheeps Brewery on
the
Thursday
wind?
afternoons. What's that?
3 Sheeps to the wind.
Three Sheeps.
3 Sheeps Brewery.
Brewery, yeah. If you have
All
not
right.
been in Sheboygan, that's a great place, so highly recommend it.
So
Neat microbrewery.
so anyway.
we start meeting at a brewery.
No, I'm saying that I think that they attract a younger crowd there, is what I'm saying.
So I will say, I know we have jokes at our own expense, so the speakers talk about different things, and whether it be the funeral director that comes, we have jokes at our own expense, but we are one of the younger Rotary clubs. What that says, I don't know, but we are on the younger side. And then Sean and I were on a president's call. Was that this week? Earlier this week? Tuesday, where ideas were being put out there and such. And an idea for membership came up. It's nothing earth shattering, but we as a club have a significant presence on Facebook. Not as much as some, but certainly significant enough. And one person was saying that their club has had success in using Facebook to seek new members. And that's something we really haven't done, and we need to do. So their Rotary either has it or is out there. a series of what is Rotary, and then invite to a meeting or invite to an event to learn more about Rotary and things like that. And not just put it out to our current connections, but also boost it and promote it. Pay $50 or $25 to boost it. And we've been doing that for our events, and you can see, so like for Kids from Wisconsin, so we boost this out there for $25, which is essentially one ticket or a little bit more than one ticket. And what ended up happening was we had about 3,900 people see the post, and 200 people clicked on the link to look and see what the tickets cost and what what seats were available and things like that. So for $25, the type of exposure we get is significant, and you can see cost per click 12, how much post engagements, link clicks, all that. Audience mostly were mostly women, and such. So there's lots of information on there, but if you consider taking out an ad in the Freeman, whatever that costs, $180 for a 3x5 ad that runs once, Facebook, especially for those 30 and up, are still very effective. I don't think it's very effective at getting the 19-year-olds to want to do something, but 30 and up, it certainly is. And you see, we've been using it. So we spent $15 to get the word out on the concert, the Independence Day celebration. Hopefully it led to 3 beer sales. Another $20 here early for Kids from Wisconsin with 212 clicks. So generally, whether we have a get to know Rotary event, maybe at the library, come out and learn more about Rotary, or just invite them to a meeting here or promote a speaker that we have. Obviously, if we have 10 people show up here, it's going to be wall to wall. We don't really have the area here, but using Facebook to not only promote Rotary, and each of our posts does get to at least a few hundred to a couple thousand people that see it. Use that as an advertising means toward membership goals. That's something that we have not tapped into yet, but I'm going to be looking at what posts can we put out there, and whether as a club we can have an event to invite people to learn more about Rotary, or invite them to a meeting or something like that. But Facebook is extremely affordable and effective, especially if you're going after 35 and up members of the population. Okay.
Charlie, do you want to do Rotary minutes? Sure. That'd be great.
John, I want to add something to that, but, if you're going to be doing this, I think it's tracking. I would be concerned about having the membership versus assigned, and maybe some people who, shepherd them as being thinking positively, as we have them come to the club, so that there's some sort of a interaction. Not that they get here and respond to how, how they get involved and what they have to do. And then having a meeting and having them explain it. But what you did from there is what I'm talking about.
Onboarding process.
And Rachel did a lot of work on that, and we can carry that forward. She's had she met with new members. We had the red badge program for a while, things like that. So.
There was a talk at one point that she was going to try and get one of her other team members from the hospital, but I think.
Yeah, Jenna and Cassie have been great. Cassie worked as hard as anybody on that July 3rd concert and such. Her and her husband were out. Yeah, I know. So
I'd just like to mention quick too, before we start the Rotary minute, that I did some of the mentoring for the new people that come in. It's very enjoyable. And quite honestly, you guys may know this, there's a lot of Rotary vocabulary that new people that come in have no clue what you're talking about. And so it's very nice to sit next to that person and just kind of help them along. To not feel like they're here, but they feel all alone. So
speaking of the opposite of a new person, Charlie.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm bringing the agents club. I'm one of the violators. I wanted to just put a bow on a change in Rotary here. We had our changing of the guard, and when we had our changing of the guard, I know Sean had this magazine there. Every year after all the people are newly installed, Rotary International puts out a magazine. It's kind of a special issue talking about all the leadership in Rotary International and district for that matter. So I took a look at that. I brought this up last year. Stephanie Burchik is the new Rotary International president. She's out of the Pittsburgh area. And the board of directors for 24-25 for Rotary International, Stephanie, of course, is president. The president-elect is a fellow by the name of Mario Cesar Martins de Camargo. He's from Brazil, so he'll be the next Rotary president. And the vice president, I probably shouldn't even try to pronounce his Hans. He's from Germany, and he's the vice president. So the rest of the board, not gonna list names, there's quite a few people here. I always find it interesting where are all these board members from. Besides those first three, Tennessee, Singapore, England, North Carolina, Michigan, Colorado, Taiwan, Japan, Mexico, India, Sweden, India again, Romania, Belgium, Brazil, South Korea, and Ukraine. That's the board as far as the spread across the world. Then they go into the board of trustees, which is who controls the foundation. And there's a slew of people in that. I found it interesting. Then they list the district governor of every district in the world, you know, that's out there. And I find it interesting, the first, they do it numerically. District 1010 is Scotland. Is a district in Scotland. Of course, I went and I found Peter Bosch in here from Waukesha, District 6270. But the last district is District 9999. And that's New Zealand. But there's pages of every district in the world where they're at and who is the new district governor.
That's interesting. There's not 9,999 districts.
No, there's not. There's a lot of skipping.
Why they chose that number, I don't.
Sure how old I am when I started in Rotary in 1985. We were District 627.
Yeah, three digits.
It was a 3-digit, and then they just added a 0 at the end. That's the Rotary Minute. And
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you, Charlie.
We have some happy signs.
Yeah, we have it this morning. Anniversaries, birthdays, significant events. Anything this morning?
I'm happy Kids from Wisconsin is over for this year.
By the way, we had 14 sponsors, and I don't know if everybody saw the insert we put out. Those who try to at least patronize some of these sponsors. We had some really good sponsors step forward this time.
My wife was at Family Dentistry the other day.
Anybody else?
Although she's a very cheap customer, she doesn't have problems.
No. Sean, I'm gonna give you a chance to pull your own ticket.
Yeah, I won last week, so they're not.
Oh, boy,
Did he?
this,
695.
okay, who is that?
There you
You?
go.
Right, there we go.
On paper.
If you could make one comment on
Yes,
Stephanie,
oh,
we support World Affairs Center. And it's been around a long time. Stephanie was the day of our changing of the guard. We had that open
I'm gonna get
house.
some more.
There were only about 25 Rotarians besides my wife and I. But we all got a chance to sit and talk with Stephanie. And I am really impressed on how down to earth, knowledgeable, and decisive this woman is. You know, sometimes we meet people, because they get into that level, they talk superficially about what's going on. Or they look at you, but they don't hear you. Stephanie is not that way, and she was extremely impressed with World Affairs, even though there's groups that want to disband World Affairs because it's a separate entity that meets at Carroll College. But she and some of the past Rotary presidents have come up and participated. Now, we had the year before, we had a group of us that went because we made a donation. I'd like us to consider that next year because it's really nice to meet those individuals one-on-one. And also to show support to world affairs, even though we send a couple kids each year.
Mhm.
It's important for them to also to hear from us why we should continue to support that as an organization. Because there's no other one that's around that has that kind of caliber for these young men and women that come from all parts of the world. They're all college.
The worthy effort.
It's really is, it really is.
Excellent. Thanks, Rick.
I know we're over time now, but I wanted to point out and thank Sean and Joe and their leadership positions in the school district that the Performing Arts Center, when it was put up, Sean made it clear that he wanted that to be available to the community. And as example of that, I got to work hand in hand with two of the employees there, Cole heading up to it. He wasn't there on Saturday, but there's a new gentleman, Tony, who I got to ask many questions to. Several of them he couldn't answer because he's new, about why is this door locked and things like that, but he was patient. But he was there all day from like 10 o'clock till 10 o'clock at night. And the school district pays his salary and we don't get charged for Tony's work. We do for the custodian and such. But the school district is continuing to make that facility available and their employees available to run it on a Saturday so that we can have an event. So make that known. to
Yeah,
the
that,
school
that
district.
was really important for, that process, that was going to be a community center, not just a school district, location, but a community place, so, that's worked out really well. Okay, we're over, so we should, recite the four-way test as we leave this meeting and go back into the world of life and work, of the things we think, say, and do. Let us remember to ask ourselves first. Is there
Second, bear all concerned. Third, will build goodwill and better friendships. Fourth, will be beneficial to all concerned.
All right,
Ring the bell, yeah.
enjoy
Can't
this,
leave it unless you-
enjoy this absolutely perfect summer weather.